Hey everybody, and welcome to the Video Game Dads podcast. This is episode 7, lucky number 7.
This is God's episode.
Yes. What?
7 is God's number.
Oh,
right?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I was going to say it's also lucky Chinese number.
Yep.
It's also lucky in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And 9s and 4s, not so much.
Yep.
So, pro tip, if you ever... Oh, this is really early for pro tip. We haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, you have to at least get through the intro before you could do a pro tip.
Oh, man. Okay. So, pro tip coming after our intro. So, the Video Game Dads podcast, we are 3 amateur guys in a basement that discuss video gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. I'm your host, Ben.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Adam.
Yeah, the trio of us, which we might have the next episode, maybe 2. It depends. We are 2 weeks away from my kiddo.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Yeah,
But anyway,
dude.
Yeah.
How to find us. Where do you find us?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Shane.
Yes, you can find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com video game
/video game.
dads.
We butchered that one.
Yeah, lucky number 7 is not turning
That's
out to
right.
be.
Yeah.
You can find us on email, videogamedads@yahoo.com.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
you can find us on facebook.com/video game dads.
Wonderful. And on the Twitters at Video Game Dads. That's all we got going right now. Maybe we'll get something else cooking. The Instagrams, the other Snapchats and stuff. We're dads. We're a little too old for that. We're not quite at that point.
Sweet.
quite
Yeah, but
hip.
we're on the iTunes, and I think we did good just to figure out how to get everything uploaded. you
Yeah.
know, to the things that we're on.
Yeah, actually, we have a few iTunes reviews.
Yeah, exactly. iTunes. What are iTunes?
Did we mention we're an amateur podcast?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So some iTunes reviews. Let's. We haven't read any of these yet, so it looks like we have 3 of them or 4. Oh, actually, holy cow!
We got 7, dude.
Oh my gosh!
It's episode 7.
Well,
We'll read off a few.
Read a couple.
Yeah.
Looks like 007 rookie. Pretty good stuff. Hey, we're happy with pretty good. Very entertaining,
right.
very knowledgeable. 330-something guys talk about video games and being dads. Perfect. And then, oh boy, AOS Sajia. Very entertaining take on the different perspective that you don't hear too often. Awesome. And then CB Sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7, 8. I hope that's not your password, Mr. CB. These guys are hilarious. Offer some interesting pro tips. Hey.
Yay.
All right.
Pro tip.
Yeah, that's trending. How about Gun Butt from episode 5?
Yeah,
or
Gun
4?
Butt.
Yeah, we might get a gun butt in
You
here.
might get
All
a
right.
good in.
Another one says, great show from Silent Thom. Silent Thom.
think
THOM. Listen to episode 0. Really dig what you guys are putting out there. Plan on bringing the next episodes to be caught up or listening to the next episodes. Great work, bros. BROS, like Super Mario Bros. I like it.
Awesome.
Another one, great show for Dan 42U. Dan 42U. I'm a gamer and a new dad as well. Congratulations, Dan 42U.
Congrats.
This show is a no-brainer for me regardless. If you only like video games, this is a great podcast to listen to too. Yes, we like that. So it is a, Video Game Dad's podcast, but this is family friendly, so you can listen to this in the car with your kiddos. I will tell you, your kiddos will not be entertained by us.
Probably not.
Maybe the significant other will probably not either, but maybe
Maybe.
she
Maybe
will. He or
If
she
they have
will.
a good sense of humor, they will.
Yeah.
Let's see. Very knowledgeable. Thank you. Definitely worth subscribing and listening to. That's great. And then our newest one. This is great from Retro Zeitgeist. His name is Idiot Savant. Love these guys. As myself, I'm a father in my 30s who loves games. Ben, Adam, and Shane capture their joy, love of gaming, and balance it really well with the responsibilities and limitations of
Oh,
being
if
a
only
parent.
they knew.
Oh man, balancing
knew.
responsibilities and limitations.
No,
That's
I just-
such an adult word with a
Yeah.
sentence to go by.
Yeah.
They're totally nuts on retro collecting. Very true. We call ourselves crazy, but nuts is good too. And Adam's quest to collect the entirety of the Wii U library kind of feels like taking your cousin to prom. Yeah.
Sometimes if your cousin's the only person that's available,
Hey.
and she doesn't have a date either.
Well, that's
it's
what he
okay.
says. He says,
Sometimes
"Hey,
you gotta do what you gotta
we
do."
all need hobbies." Great listens. Thanks, guys. We'll definitely. So if you give us a review on iTunes, good or bad, hopefully good, we will totally read your review on air.
Yeah.
We'll read you. We'll come and find you. Yeah. All right. So thanks, guys. So yeah,
Yeah,
episode
thank you.
7. We are going to try to make this bi-weekly. I know it's really good for a podcast to kind of come out with some consistency so you know when it's coming. And probably early in the week is better than late. But I think every other Thursday is good for us right now. So anticipate us every other Thursday to put together an episode. But we really appreciate all the support. I think Facebook is probably our biggest group. So if you want
Yeah.
to find current happenings, check out some pics of some.
We got picks on there. We got
and some good
sorts of
pickups
stuff. Yep.
of some stuff we're going to talk about in this episode, specifically from Mr. Shane.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Mr. Shane,
got some good
the,
stuff.
The dirty collector, he calls himself. Yeah.
Mr. Dirty Collector.
Yeah. But anyway, let's start out with our video game book club. Yes, our video game book club. So, for those that don't know, our video game book club is we're going to alternate between the three of us and our listeners by picking a game that we all kind of liked or maybe played a lot as a kid, maybe one we haven't heard of, unlike maybe a Super Mario World or Zelda. You know, those are great games, but we're trying to showcase games that maybe aren't as popular.
Yeah.
We will stick system by system. We went through the Nintendo. Now we're on the Sega Genesis, and but our listeners can kind of hop around due to the fact that if you submit something via email to us or via Twitter or Facebook Messenger, whatever, we'll keep it in the pool and we will pick it randomly. And so this week will be a listener's pick. So and we have a new one which I will add as well after we talk about our current video game book club pick, which was done by me myself, and we did a Sega Genesis, and I picked Eternal Champions.
Yes.
Eternal Champions.
So as per usual, I'll let you two kind of talk a little bit about it. We might we'll say we'll give some background about the game, and then let you guys, honest reviews if we like it, don't like it, and then also we always encourage our listeners to let us know what they think of it. But that way, we kind of get a good perspective of a game that you might not have played that gives you an opportunity to check something out that either we liked or our community liked, and we'll get that same opportunity.
Yep.
Sure. So Eternal Champions is a 1993 release, which
Great.
was a good year.
Great
Yeah,
year.
great year.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
11, I think, at this time. Yeah,
Yep.
11. And simple math, it's good. 11. And
You keep saying you're older than us. You're only a year older than me.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but I'm much older on the inside. Like, my life expectancy, I'm sure, is much shorter than yours.
But not on the outside.
Not on the outside.
Your
no.
collagen is wonderful
Oh,
for your
thank you.
age.
Why, thank you. So 1993, this was a Sega developed and Sega published game. It's sort of a take of Sega on arcade fighters.
Yeah, so Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Street Fighter was 91, and then Mortal Kombat was 92,
And this was
93.
and this was 93.
Oh.
So Sega was
Sega
like,
had to get you some of
yeah,
that,
Sega's
yeah.
like, I want some of that money, so I'm gonna make one of these too.
Yep.
And so this is more akin, I think, to Street Fighter 2, being that it's a sprite-based game,
Yeah.
Yep.
with cartoonish sort of characters,
Yeah.
rather than digitized photos like Mortal Kombat.
Combat.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's sort of a mishmash between the two because it has the graphical style of Street Fighter,
Yeah.
but it has the violence
Of
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat, yeah.
So they tried to have their cake and eat it too.
Too.
Yeah, which I think they did a
They
moderate.
did it. Yeah, they did a good
Yeah.
job. It's sort of like a nice mesh in between the two, I'd say.
Yeah, sort of. So I have the Sega CD version, which we were playing just before the podcast.
Yep.
And it actually has really good music on it and good animations and big sprites.
Big sprites.
And it's pretty neat. And it's kind of standard fare, I guess, for a fighting game of that time. But at the same time, like I can remember a fair number of other fighting games made around that time that were just absolutely broken.
Yeah, garbage.
When you try to
yeah.
play them, and this is certainly not a broken game.
No.
It plays really well, and I can honestly say I wouldn't put it on the same pedestal as maybe Street Fighter 2.
No.
But it's definitely a serviceable game and gets done what it needs to do.
I'd say I put it around with like a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
in a way.
it's
sort of like a weird mesh of a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I don't have the nostalgia for it that I have for Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
1, just because everybody I think has nostalgia
Yeah.
for that game that was around at the time.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
And I was kind of a Sega kid, but not really. And I did play this game, but not nearly as much as we did Mortal Kombat 1, mostly, trying to do all the fatalities and and we weren't supposed to play it, which made us want to play it even more, and that sort of thing. But this game's actually at least actually it's a lot more violent, I think, than Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat
some of those
1.
finishing
Yeah.
moves, the stage fatalities.
Yeah,
are
so
crazy.
that's how this works. The fatalities are done via when you do the final blow of your opponent, depending on where you are on the stage, that triggers the stage fatality. So you have to be in a kind of a sweet spot. And the sweet spot is bigger on Sega CD than Genesis. Genesis, you have to be almost pretty perfect in the same area.
Yeah.
And then cool little thing, like you'll either be cut up by a saw blade, you'll have like this little robots come in and shoot you and then like take you away.
We got stomped out by a dinosaur.
Yeah,
when
we
we were playing.
I will say that
fan.
I really like
Yeah.
the characters. So the reason I picked this, I just have some nostalgia for it. I used to play this with childhood friends growing up. Specifically, like one childhood friend, we'd play it in the basement, and his parents didn't really allow him to have violent video games, and you couldn't really tell it was super violent until the fatalities with like blood and stuff. So I remember we would play this thing for hours and hours trying to discover, because it's pre-internet, right?
Yeah.
Discover like where the certain spots are, because there's not really a move. So I don't think it was really in the magazine of where to hit it. I never saw in a hint book as opposed to the other ones.
Yeah.
The characters are really cool. The kind of story, the loose story that they kind of do in a scroll at the beginning and you can read inside the manual is these eternal champions. The reason they're called that is they were all fighters who died like in their prime sometime in history. So you have going all the way back to like caveman days. You got a big guy with a club.
Yeah.
You've got someone during the like Salem witch trials. You've got another guy who's like this kind of vampire-ish guy in Vietnam.
You got an Egyptian guy.
Yeah, and some in the future too. So
Future
basically,
guy,
it's picking all these people from all periods of time, and you're fighting against each other. And some of them are like real cliche, like the black guy Blade. Yeah, I don't know. You know, he's called Blade. They had the comics then back then, but the movies definitely weren't out yet. But he's got like a flat top.
Yeah.
He totally looks like. Isn't it Jax?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They
Mortal
almost sort of
Kombat,
ripped off like some of the characters
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
like these
Well,
games.
you know,
Like-
Jackson Mortal Kombat, and I'd have to go back and
That was
can-
later.
Yeah,
No, that was
he
later.
wasn't until
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2, I believe.
So you're right. So maybe
Which
Eternal
this,
Champions
yeah. So Mortal Kombat 2, conspiracy theory alert. Mortal Kombat 2 is actually a ripoff.
of Eternal Champions.
Eternal
That is
Champions.
conspiracy theory right there.
Well, and I think
And then some of the moves that are that way too, though. I mean, like I was doing a Blanca roll with one of the people, or they had some of the moves that were exactly like something off Mortal Kombat, or
Yeah, and a
like
couple of the
Street
characters
Fighter.
are similar to Mortal Kombat-ish,
Yeah.
kinds of people. But if you think about, any of the games from that time, though, they always had, fighters from different ethnicities with different styles, both male and female, to
Yeah.
try to, I guess, appeal to that sort of broader audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody had a character that they could say, oh, well, that's kind of somebody I identify with.
yeah, or just
And-
your favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, or that guy looks really cool, or that girl looks really cool, or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah, I think the one thing that made this not I think the only thing that makes it not in the same category and mentioned as much as Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter is the fact it did not have an arcade game with it.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
this
have
was
an
straight
arcade
to
game.
console.
Straight to console. So if it would have had an arcade game, I really think
That
it would
would've
have been
helped it.
just as popular as the rest.
Yeah, and I think if each person had their own fatality too, just to give that person a little bit more personality, I think that would have helped out a bunch too.
Yeah, and so in the Genesis version, there's one stage fatality per stage. And in the Sega CD version, there's 2 per stage.
2 per stage.
And some of them I just think really cool. The other thing we didn't talk about that much is the music. I really like.
Yeah,
And
the
again,
music's really
I don't know
good.
how much of it's nostalgia, so you guys can confirm.
No, it's
that.
good, especially on the. I didn't play the Genesis version, so I don't know how it compares. But
Yeah,
the
I
Sega
didn't
CD
either.
music's actually really good. I mean, it's CD quality, so it's basically from the future, so it's got to be better.
Yeah.
right.
Yep. I like the backgrounds too, like the way it scrolled and everything had cool backgrounds and everything.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
looks
it's got
really
cool.
good.
It's got cool
Yeah.
animations.
Yeah.
Little things are happening.
It looked
I mean,
good.
it's no Neo Geo, but it's good.
Yeah, it's a fighter, and none of us
Yeah.
are huge fighting guys. Like, if you're a big fighting. But we
Fighting
don't
guy, you
have the
probably
lingo.
snub this,
like the
yeah.
grapple of the counter. Like there's some really deep fighting mechanics that can be had in a lot of games. And actually, this game, to be good at it, you actually need to know the moves down. You can't really spam it like you can a Street Fighter. I will say Mortal Kombat, you need to know the moves pretty well.
You could juggle some people and do some stuff. The only thing I
Yeah,
sort of sucks though is that it doesn't have the I like seeing the hit combos. So like you went off on me like an 8-hit combo. I mean, it's awesome.
I sure did. I went off. Yep.
Went off on me. But I wish they would have shown that too. I mean, that would have been
Yeah,
another thing that would have set it apart.
I actually thought that. Because I have no friends aside from you guys or whatever.
That's not true, Ed.
People
so lonely.
Yeah. No, but I had to play it. Like when I started playing this before you guys came over, it was just me against the computer.
Yeah.
the computer's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
AI
the computer was like freaking smoking me
Yeah.
on like easy. So,
But they offer a training mode. Did you see that?
yeah, they do have a training mode, and they actually, at least on the CD version, they have a lot of different modes. Like there's a tournament mode where you can set up tournament play.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had 16 friends over, if you're, really cool, I guess, and you got like 15 buddies, or either that or you have no job and 15 buddies that just live with you.
Yeah.
you could do the 16 person tournament or whatever, and trade off controllers, but it actually has that ability.
They had some good choices. I mean, like one of one on the rounds instead of doing the normal 1 of 2. Or I mean, if you win, there's 2 rounds or whatever.
Yeah.
And they also had even further than that. I think they had like 5 out of 10 or something.
Yeah.
They had some nice little options on there that I didn't see on like a Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter back then.
And the other thing worth mentioning, I picked this too. It is very common, super common.
Oh yeah. This is an easy game to get a hold of.
I mean, I don't want to say like top 10 or whatever, but I always see this, and I think also it's a generic name, Eternal Champions. But I always see it in the stores, and it's not quite sports game priced, but it's low. It's definitely
low.
under 10
Yeah,
bucks.
I actually looked this up right before we got started. The loose cartridge average price on video game price charting is $6.
Yeah, that's about right.
And
Totally
a
worth
loose CD for Sega CD is about $15. It's about $20 to $30.
Yeah, and they're
Sega
both
CD.
good bang for your buck, but especially 2025 for complete Sega CD, that game that I think is that good.
Yeah,
That
I
is-
would pay $20 for that
Yeah.
all day if I could find it. I
And
mean,
luckily,
that's
we don't
fun.
have enough listeners to bring up the market value, so you're probably still safe.
Yeah,
at
you're
us
gonna be
saying.
Yeah, no, the price just jumped 3 cents.
Yeah, that's how we
'Cause I
do
bought
it. Rooney. Yeah, but anyway, so that is our pick of the week. Do we have anything else to say about this one before we get on to our next selection?
I don't think so. Play it if you get the chance.
Yeah, if you get a
or buy
chance,
it if you see it
definitely.
at a
Yeah, if
garage
you see
sale.
it, definitely buy it.
Okay.
Good game.
That's good.
Good game.
So we already have a couple in our pool. I'll let Adam, you talk about, unless I can bring it up on my phone too.
Okay,
I've got one submission. Comes from a Brandon in New York. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
Enjoys our show, likes listening to us on the subway. He picked a handheld console, which is perfectly legal. We're going to get to the handhelds ourselves, but you can pick whatever you want. And he picked the original Game Boy, which I'm a big fan of. I still have all of my games from the Game Boy. I rebought the ones I used to have. And this is a game I've, 1, never heard of, 2, never played or really ever seen. The cover art is really awesome. He picked Altered Space for the Game Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, not Altered Beast. Altered Space.
Altered
Altered
Space.
Space.
And the cover, it's pretty cool. It just shows a like space guy shooting. Let's see. He said it's basically like a puzzle map. You have limited oxygen. He said it was very difficult, but a big reason why he liked it was the music he thought was really good, and it's completely different than any game. I looked a little up. It's the first isometric game for the Game Boy, and it was pretty late in the life. And isometric is basically Super Mario RPG.
Yeah,
Sort of
over the
three-quarter-
shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
three-quarter overhead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
three-quarter
overhead.
overhead. So not quite overhead, not quite side, so you can get some depth there. Yeah, so that'll probably be picked eventually.
That'd be weird on the Game Boy. That'd
Yeah,
be cool.
and it's also a pretty inexpensive game. I was actually able to pick up a copy myself, so we can play it if and when it ever gets selected by our random selector.
Regenerator.
Yeah, but that is one submission. Do you have another?
Sure, yeah. Cameron from South Dakota suggested that we try out MC Kids on the NES.
Whoa, I've been wanting to play that.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, there are a few games back from this era that were basically promotional items. Capitalism
Straight up advertising.
Yeah, found its way into
Buy that Mickey
into video
D's.
games. Yeah, so this is McDonald's brainwashing of children toward hamburgers and French fries. But it's actually supposed to be a pretty good platformer. I have played it in the past.
So is it MC Kids or Mick Kids?
I guess it's Mick Kids.
Mick Kids,
Okay,
yeah.
I take that back. Yeah,
It's like MC Kids.
MC Kids. What?
But it's really like, eat my burger.
No, but yeah, it's MC Kids or Mick Kids. I'm not sure, but that's from Cameron in South Dakota. We'll read some more from some of these emails and things later.
Yeah.
But those will both go into the pile of things that we have to choose from. And
Awesome.
And to choose our next video game of the month, we have a randomizer here, and I'm going to hit that right now.
We're doing this live on
Yeah, we're doing this live when we
Live.
recorded. So, looky there. It's MC Kids.
What?
Ooh.
Did you even
Or,
hit the
or
button?
Nick Kids,
All right.
depending.
So there's like
Oh, I
7
really
in there.
did.
No,
Yeah.
I believe you. Oh, there it is.
I
So
seen
when we know
I seen it. I seen it.
Yeah. So the faster you get yours in, I mean, the greater chance you'll get of getting picked. So we have like 7 right now that it's going to pick through. So eventually we're going to get to everybody.
Yeah, and we'll keep your picks in there. So
Yeah.
don't, I mean, lay them out there. We'll
So
get
that's
to
great.
'em.
We're going back to the NES, back to 1985
Awesome.
for Mick Kids. Do you know how expensive this game is?
Not off the top of my head. I think it's around a $20 game.
Yeah,
or
$20 game.
thereabouts,
A
Okay.
little bit harder
so-
to find.
Yeah, and it's a platformer. It's a cool game. I don't know how often it is to see it, but if you're collectors out there, you got
Yeah,
a buddy.
I see it every so often, I suppose. I've had it for a while.
Okay.
I haven't seen it in a while. So yeah.
Great. All right, so that'll be our video game book club pick of the episode. Mick Kids for the NES.
All right. All right. So moving on, what's been going on with you guys?
Well, it's more like you two. I got hit with the food poisoning bug last month by myself, and it sounds like you guys got hit with it.
Yeah.
At least your families.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
family did. They got hit with it hard. So
yeah.
they've been battling through some colds and high temperatures and
Well, you
just
said it
sort of
was
everything.
like exorcist type stuff.
Well, one of them was Exorcist, littlest one, but my wife being sick, and then my other 2 being sick, my boy and my girl being sick. Just I've never had that many sick in our house.
Dude,
Luckily,
yeah.
I haven't got anything from it yet, but she's been home from work a few days, and Lexi's been home for 4 days from school. So
Yeah, so
that's not good.
3 kiddos. They were all sick, plus the wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah. So not
And you weren't. So
and I haven't got it magically.
Knock
so
on particle board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
knock on particle board.
yeah, and then what about you, Adam? Doesn't Grayson?
Yeah. My kid got the ick yesterday, and it always shows up the same way. So he gets car sick. It always begins in the car.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember getting
And it's the
car sick.
worst because you'll be driving. Our garbage disposal went haywire, and so yesterday we were driving to Home Depot, and I hate it because it's a lot more fun to buy games than it is to buy garbage disposals.
Yeah.
True that.
And so we're driving into Home Depot, and I'm turning into the parking lot, and I hear,
Oh no.
from the back seat, just right behind my head, and I turn around, and he's looking at me like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing he could do.
And I'm like, oh no, just relax. And I pulled over to the side, and I'm like, trying to coach him down from the cliff. And he's like, nope, it's going to happen. And then he just Ralph's all over himself in the car seat and everything else. And then you get out of the car and trying to clean him up, and he feels awful, and there's bits of goo all over the place. And so
Poor
then
kid.
so we had to drive back home.
Get some clothes.
And to get him hosed off,
Yeah.
and then throw him in the bath, and then you got to take apart that damn car seat, which is the worst. I don't know who
Worst.
designed car seats. You're going to get an appreciation for this, Benjamin,
Yes.
because car seats are they're like the Rubik's cube of adulthood.
Yes, it is.
Well, I didn't
so-
tell you guys. I just
Oh.
went. I just went to the fire station to have it approved to put in, where we had the fireman.
fire guy.
Jeez, firemen come out and like in our state. So
Did you have him autograph your calendar?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, he wasn't B team. There was no such thing as that. But he was definitely a younger fireman that has to do this crap where he has to come out and like. And I kind of. Anyway, but we had 2 different cars to do the car seat in. We had the base and make sure that it was put in right. But he actually took the time and did everything. So in the state of Missouri, you don't need to do it. But in the state of Kansas, they offer it. So in Missouri, you go up to a fire
Do they
station.
even use car seats in Missouri?
Yeah, I don't know.
Stick in the back of the truck.
Yeah. Are you hurt or are you injured? Walk it off. I can't walk yet. Anyway, so we got that done, and he gave some good tips. He said, don't use a mirror. I don't know, the rear-facing mirror. Did you guys use that?
Oh yeah. So we're bad parents now?
No,
'Cause
he
we
just,
had the-
it was one of those things where he said, well, we don't recommend any because of the fact that they can shake loose and it hit the kid in an accident if they're not secured.
yeah.
But I think that's one of those things like when they say a blanket statement, like obviously never use your phone in the car or Bluetooth or anything. Like the traffic authority said, I think 2 years ago, that like what their recommendations were for communication in the car was actually nothing, not even hands-free. They said the best thing is to not have it at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, people still do it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I
Yeah,
think
we're
with
still surviving.
I think people still use the mirror. But he said, well, we can't recommend any. I think it's just because they can't guarantee. If you get a cheap one from China or something, it might not
Yeah.
work very well. But
Well, you don't want it falling and smacking the kid, and then you're worrying about getting off.
But Adam, how long does it take to, I guess, take apart a car seat?
Well, taking it apart's not the problem. So you get it home and you sort of dismantle it, and you're like, oh yeah, no problem, and you can put all this back together.
putting
No
it
big
back
deal.
in.
Yeah, it's putting the damn thing back together. It's
So do you have the clips on yours, Ben?
yeah, there's clips and there's straps.
Yeah,
and,
do you do the straps or do you do the
and
clips?
then you got to pull the little seatbelt thing.
I got
through
both.
it.
I got both. But he says, the fireman said, only do one, not the other. Don't do them both.
Don't do them both, yeah.
Yeah.
Do the clips. The clips are the easier, but it's still tough, though, because you try to get it super tight, and you're trying to pull it in there, push it in there, and it just won't work. I mean, it's just so tight.
Yeah, I put it in there and kind of figured it out. I used to like not know what the heck I was doing when I was with my niece and stuff. I'm like, geez, now I feel like total bad uncle. Like, this was not secure when I did it in there earlier.
Yeah, you're lucky I never wrecked, or you wouldn't be here.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I feel bad about that. But yeah, well, everything's fine. I don't get in accidents.
Then you yank all that stuff off, then you hose off all that. You
Yeah.
throw it in the thing, you wash it, and then you have to put it all back together. And it's just it's just sort of a mess, putting it all back together. And then you have to put it back in the car. And they have the little clips in the car seat that you have to physically attach the seat to. And I don't know what kind of sadistic butthole designed those sort of things, but the little attachments are always way back up. At least in my car,
Yes,
they're
they're
way up in the
back.
cushion.
Yes.
Where you can barely feel them with your index finger before you put the little hook back in there and try to engage it. And then even after you do, it takes Herculean strength to tighten the thing back down.
Well, then why? So then you can just use the seatbelt instead. That's at least what the fireman said. You
Yeah,
don't-
you can
you
use
can,
the seatbelt.
but-
It doesn't feel as secure to me. And then, but you have that problem. You have to pull the seatbelt, so you're playing that sick game where you're pulling the seatbelt and then it's not giving you any because you're pulling it too quick. So then you're sitting there just not be able to get it.
You should see Shane's hand movement. How he just did. He was trying to show us doing the seatbelt, but it kind of looked like something else.
Sorry you guys can't see that,
Yeah.
but you're trying to pull at the seatbelt and it's not giving you any at all. So it's just like
He's doing it again. It's like someone came down here. He's like, why does Shane look like he's punching his munchkin? Oh man.
Yeah, so we did that whole thing, but of course he felt terrible, and even worse is when little kids get sick, like they're already borderline psychotic, to begin with, and then they just lose it when they feel ill.
Yeah.
The only like the thin edge of like sanity
Yeah.
just gets really, really blurry, and your day gets a lot worse.
That's Lexi last night. We thought she was all good to go, and I was like, yeah, she's going to school, she's gonna have fun. And then about 9:30, right before her bedtime, she just looks at us, she's like, whoop. And then boom, right on the couch. So she gets it on the couch cushion.
That's the way it goes,
cushions.
man. And they look so terrified.
So we had to give her a bath
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
but
this is gonna happen.
I feel so bad for her, but it's such a bad deal for her.
Yeah, so hopefully, we all, I'm sure we'll
Get
survive
past it,
but
get past it.
it's no bueno. I think everybody either has the flu or the stomach bug.
Yeah.
So everybody's either coughing or pooping.
Yes.
Or both.
Yeah,
I guess
or
if you're
both.
really unlucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, luckily, since my wife is pregnant for the first time listener, so I'm the one that yet has the baby on the way. But we are close, guys. We are, to this day of the recording this, we're 2 weeks away from the due date. So if you hear a duet on episode 8 and not a trio, I will be gone, and you'll know what I'd be doing. Baby will be
Changes
coming.
and diapers.
Baby catching.
Yeah, but if it's not here and my wife okays it, I'll just be here on a short leash, and it might happen live. But we'll see. I am trying to stay close. I drive a lot for work, so it's kind of hard. Where now it's the point where if I get a phone call from her, I'm thinking oh, it happened. But the way it takes a while. It's also our first kid, so it's the labor stuff, and she hasn't had any of the pre-contractions. What are those called again?
Pre-contraction.
Oh shoot.
Tremors?
Braxton Hicks.
Braxton Hicks, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had any of the Braxton Hicks yet. That obviously was named after somebody. It's a weird name to give it.
Yeah. It is.
But anyway, it's happening soon.
Awesome.
And we're excited we know what to expect, not know what to expect, but it'll be fun. I've got a few weeks off work. And did you get any time off, Adam?
I got 2 days.
Oof.
Yeah, 2 days. And so for our new listeners, so my son's adopted. And so we were actually there from the very, very get-go. But my work, I only got 2 days off.
Oh, man.
And then I had to take leave of absence after that because vacation really couldn't be approved for it. And we had to stay out of
man.
state for close to 3 weeks, I think. And his first 2.5 months, or 2.5 weeks of life, we actually had to stay in a hotel room with him before
Whoa.
we could cross state lines.
Oh, really?
Because adoptions are done on a
yeah.
state level basis rather than a national basis. So
Oh,
you can't cross borders until a judge says that you're not nuts and
really?
and you're approved to take the kid, to your home, basically.
Wow.
So it's our story's a little bit different than most, and really having a kid, a brand newborn in a small hotel room is not the most fun way to do it, probably. But it's a it's a
You
good
worked
story.
through it,
It certainly was a good experience. So
Yeah.
you'll really have fun.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, well, good. What was the name of the hotel? We could like it wasn't a Super 8, was it?
No, honestly,
American Inn.
honestly, I can't remember. It was one of those.
Extended stays or something like
No,
that.
it wasn't an extended stay, but it was kind of an off-brandy kind of thing. It wasn't. It was a nice enough place, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like a big national chain sort of thing. I honestly can't remember the name of it. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I was just gonna say because they probably, I don't know, treated you pretty well because they probably knew your situation.
Oh yeah. It was kind of neat. All the people there, were kind of like, oh, that's the family that has the new baby.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maid
The
service
whole
made
way.
sure to extra
Yeah,
dust the baby's head.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's
But,
an extra $2 for you. Do you guys tip? It's a random question. Do you guys tip maid service?
at hotels, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you supposed to do that?
You are supposed to.
Oh, really?
Well, it's one of those.
I guess I'm a bad person.
It is like
Yeah.
I even looked at. There was this book randomly. I didn't even know until.
I'm usually pretty good at tipping, but I never really.
Yeah, so
I
it's-
mean, I tip the people that carry the bags or that kind of thing.
Yeah, so
but-
it's like anything with etiquette. Here in America, it's like 15, 20%. Kind of depends on how, and sometimes when my bill, like let's say it's like $8, you pay based on, you give a tip based on what it's worth, not necessarily if you get the sale price. That's why I probably would bite to be a waiter at like Applebee's because they've got all their deals all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So every time they get a 2-for-1, the wait staff is just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, so you're supposed to pay based on the value of it and everything, and it's just because
Yeah.
they pay them a working wage. And I know sometimes it's harder to, depending on your situation, to give a tip. But anyway, it was in a book, like randomly my work gives out a planner, and in it talks about etiquette. And I didn't even know about tipping until probably Laura, till my current wife, and she kind of said, yeah, and etiquette's evidently $2 a day. And you just put it. Here's the thing: you have to put it in a special place because all maid staff, I think, everywhere know, not to take any money. But if you plainly put it like in the middle of the bed, or you put it with a note, or you fold it over and you put it on the pillow with like nothing else, obviously. But yeah, if you have your change on the counter or a couple bucks in the corner, they won't take it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like, especially if you're at a hotel more than a few days, you could kind of tell a difference, and they'll like give you the extra towels. They'll stock up all your extra stuff, and a lot of people don't do it. And a lot of these, that kind of thing. But yeah, etiquette is $2 a night, which I didn't know about until I was
every
like,
once in a while I do throw a few bucks. I try to, but I
Yeah.
don't carry cash, so it's just so hard to do.
Yeah.
All right, just
ta-
leave your credit card.
You take it up before. Oh yeah, we did. We did that, Shane. I think maybe I introduced that to you when we went to
Yeah,
Portland.
when we
I
went to
started doing it. I
Portland.
was like,
Yep.
hey, whose turn is it to put it out? Or
Yep.
we put it
Huh,
out.
maybe
Yeah.
I'll have to add that to my stuff.
Well, and you could tell, like, we walked by the maid that knew what we came out of, and she
Yeah.
was like, "Do you want your room?" Like, she was like extra
Yeah,
talkative
on
and nice
top
to
of-
us
yeah,
and
on
stuff.
top of
So
it,
it's
worth it to do that. I mean, it's just a good thing to do. so,
pay it forward,
yeah.
karma. Anyway, that's just some aside to put out that I didn't even know until I was like 27, 28 or something like that. But anywho,
Yep. Me and my wife. So I had about a week off of work with her having the baby. She had a C-section though, and I tried to get a few extra days, but I wasn't able to get a few extra days off because I was having to help my wife up the stairs.
Yeah.
She was having troubles and stuff. So, but I ended up getting about a week off of work. So
yeah, and you should get extra time for the C-section because she's out of commission.
Yeah, out of
for-
commission. That's what it was sort of tough because I mean I liked the job I had, but it was like, come on, just a few more days. Like I need to help her out, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah,
But,
you told me they kind of one of those things where you've got like amateur hour manager or something kind of like, hey,
yeah.
so I guess we'll make an exception. One of those things, like,
Yeah.
man, bite me, dude. Like, this is a reason. This is
This is legitimate. I mean, I'd like to actually help her out and be able to help.
Yeah, and they were
so
like,
it
oh,
is.
I guess I'll do that. It's like, anyway.
Yeah.
So obviously that guy did not have a wife with a kid, or he's
No, he had kids and stuff, but I mean, he had a higher up than him. So I mean, I'm not gonna bash him. I mean, it is what it is. But
yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
The most time you can take off, I guess, the better to help
Yeah.
everybody else out. But
I would suggest for the wives, I mean, take as much time, especially with your first, take it off as much time as you can, because I mean, on our third, we didn't take off quite as much time, or my wife didn't take off as much time, and we sort of wished we did.
She kind of regretted it.
Yeah, I regretted it because I mean that's a good time just to spend with everybody.
It is. Yeah, it's an important time, bonding time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right.
So moving on, we thought we would have a topic of discussion. It's sort of unique to this episode of the podcast, and this was sent in by one of our viewers. So we appreciate that, and obviously anybody else can email us in at videogamedads@yahoo.com or message us on Facebook. And we'll try to, maybe incorporate some of those topics if you have things that you want to hear.
Yep.
This particular person wanted to hear about our favorite video game magazines, that we had from the past or from childhood.
Cool. What's his name? What's the listener's name?
I think it's Colin, if I believe correctly.
Colin.
Yeah.
Colin Powell. Got it. That's good enough.
I'll start with mine. Tips and tricks, man. I love tips and tricks. Everybody's go-to is, of course, Nintendo Power, but tips and tricks, I always went to that just because I could go in the back of the magazine, especially they'd always have the moves or have the cheats in the back. I used, what was one of them? Warhawk on PS1. You could type in the code and you could get unlimited missiles and just all sorts of unlimited ammo and stuff. I love that magazine. They had good articles too.
Yeah, cheat codes. It's funny now. I've kind of noticed. I don't know if you guys have too. In like collector standpoint, when people talk about like cheat codes, like whoever entered cheat. Like when I was a kid, I always looked for cheat codes because that was a cool way to see parts of the game you'd never see.
Well, it was sort of like a game would come out, and if you got it early in the game's life, that maybe you didn't know the cheats or the cheats weren't released for it yet.
Yeah.
So you'd play them, and NES games are hard. Especially when you're a little kid, like I was trying to play them. Like there are a lot of games that are really hard, and you're never going to beat them. But you kind of play them until you get sick of beating your head against the wall, and then you get the cheat code. You get infinite lives, infinite continues, or whatever, and then boom, you finally get to see the end of the game that you've been trying so hard for so long for. Yeah, that was always a big payoff.
Yeah, it's almost like so you have to pump it down to easy because I mean then it was almost too easy. But if you kept it at normal and then popped in like say unlimited ammo, it would still be playable and a lot more playable and fun.
Yeah, and even there were codes unique to the games. But then when things came out like the Game Genie, for instance,
Game Genie,
they would always have Game Genie update codes and those kinds of things in the magazines too, and those are really cool. I was a Nintendo Power kid, and I remember the first time that I ever got the actual subscription. My mom bought them for me, and it was it was like a card built out of lifesavers, if that makes sense. Like the sides of the card had lifesavers all put into it. It had a little gift card in the middle. It was like, you got a subscription to Nintendo Power. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And this was kind of mid SNES cycle, probably. This would have been around the time Donkey Kong Country and those sorts of games came out. So
that was more of like the cartoonish looking covers.
Yeah,
like the beginning ones were more like realistic type.
Sort of,
when they first came out.
These were either had sort of sprites on the front usually, or some pre-rendered graphic of some video game character or whatever. Those are still my favorite ones. Cool. To this day, but grew up with those, and then really liked Nintendo Power. But even as a little kid, I could read the obvious bias, in the reporting.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, really, Nintendo Power's bias. Yeah. Every game's like a 9.5 to 10.
Yeah. Well, I actually never did Nintendo Power. I never really had a subscription. They started doing that with like Funko Land, right? Game Informer. Yeah. Back in the day, so that was the first time I ever had a subscription. A lot of times I would buy them kind of off the shelf. I'd ask my mom every once in a while, but they were usually expensive. Like, they were $6.
Yeah,
and this is like 1990 money.
Yeah, they were $6 to $8 a piece.
Yeah, I'd spend on those too.
Yeah, but they were really neat, and I will say that is something that I'm collecting now. I might probably do that more than you guys.
I would love to collect more of them than I do. I just don't ever see them.
So I have a lot of obviously the strategy guides. That kind of goes with
I do collect strategy guides. I've got quite a few.
Strategy guides are great because I've already thought ahead. Like, all right, we're in our 30s. And eventually, we're going to get to the point where our dexterity, we're going to have arthritis. We can't, and it'd be really cool to like read about the games that we used to play on paper because again, newspapers are going away. So they're going to kind of, strategy guides now are getting to be digital, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a digital strategy guide is, there's YouTube, right? So they're always like, oh, you can get the paper one, and the digital one comes with it now. The main, what's the strategy guide company? Prema's big, and then there's one other.
I'm
can't remember.
Yeah, that's okay. But anyway, so they usually have if you buy the paper one, I did that with, Lego Jurassic World. I love Jurassic Park, for those who don't know. So I bought Lego Jurassic World, love the heck out of it, 100%ed it. And I bought the guide for it as well. Only time I ever really did that. And now I'll just get them when they're cheap. Some game stores either devalue them or don't. I wonder if they give anything, because when they sell them for $1 a piece, do they even give any money for the people that kind of bring
like
them?
GameStop actually pinches them out and then just throws them away. So a lot of people do dumpster diving. They just end up throwing them away, even like hardback. But they're supposed to like tear them apart and everything even before they throw them in the dumpster.
Yeah,
so it's really sad.
I actually really like having them. Sometimes you go into retro game stores or whatever, and they'll have them for a couple of bucks. Or whatever. And if it's a game that I really like, I'll totally pick up the guide for it.
Yeah, and I actually even have a magazine rack, a double wide. I think I've showed you guys.
Yeah.
I've rearranged my office a little bit, and I have it kind of in a different spot. But I bought like a nice. I have probably 40 on there, and it varies. I love the time period of the 90s for these magazines because the graphics are really big. They're using. It's the first time they kind of use the better paper too. That holds up a little better. And the ads, that's the other thing.
Yeah, the ads are awesome. And usually 3/4 of them are ads anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, remember the demo discs though?
Oh, yeah,
demo discs were awesome.
Yeah, they were all to sell you stuff.
Yep, because
Yeah.
you couldn't get on your system and get download the demo. Like that was your demo to get a demo.
Again,
that
pre-internet,
way, so.
or there's only like one person in your school that had internet. I went to public school, so I remember a show of hands back when I was even in, this was eighth grade, I think. Who has a computer in your home? 2 people raised their hand. Yeah, and that was in 8th grade. And I think maybe the average was a little more than that. Like I said, it's public school. But, not many people had access to other things in the magazine. And what's neat is that a lot of magazines even wouldn't get the same coverage that they get now with, like, as soon as something's out, it's out, boom.
Yep.
There's so much speculation.
Oh, yeah, it was just total speculation.
And some people would, I think I was texting you guys earlier, they'll say like, okay, now it's between like the wars of the Jaguar, and it's like now it's like the Jaguar wasn't any bit but a small blip on the radar.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, and the
They actually
ads
advertised
for it,
a lot,
and the ads for it were actually really good.
Good. Yeah.
The big ones are obviously
do the math.
Yeah.
Do the math.
Yeah, you still remember all the catchphrews from it, but
Sega, Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
Sega
Yeah.
does what
Nintendo
Nintendo
don't.
don't.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
yeah, but GamePro and Nintendo Power were my first two.
Oh, GamePro,
and
Electronic Monthly.
yeah,
Did you guys ever read that?
EGM,
Yeah.
Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Yep.
Was not long after that, and I was kind of religious on them too for a while. And then there was Next Gen.
Yeah, I like
that,
Next
that
Gen.
came, and I really liked
messed with that.
Next Gen. But yeah, that was a great thing about it because you couldn't really see what was coming out in the future, by going online or whatever. So they would always have previews, and really some of my favorite issues, even if you go back and look at them now, are the ones where they're previewing a game that's supposed to come out in a year or two or whatever, and then it either turns into vaporware and never materializes, or it shows up on a different system. Like I have magazines that. Show Final Fantasy VII as an N64 game.
Oh, really?
Which clearly didn't quite work out exactly like that. But
Or Half-Life for the Dreamcast.
yeah, or Half-Life for
Never-
the or Duke Nukem Forever. Oh wait, that actually did happen.
Oh.
Finally. I actually have the full set of the Dreamcast magazine, which I'm pretty proud of because there's a issue 0, which is actually issue 0 was given away free at GameStop, and that's one that's like, I don't know, people at one point, I don't think they were selling it for like 50, 60, 75 bucks.
Dang.
And somebody had to buy it now real super duper cheap. And that one came with the magazine too. That was bi-monthly. But what was neat about that, I wish there is a interview of the original, what does it say? Like the writers, editors, right?
Editors, yeah.
The editors of Dreamcast magazine. And there's a really cool YouTube video of an interview. If you just do like Dreamcast magazine interview, there's this podcast guy who gets these 4 people on the phone that used to run the magazine. They tell the stories. It is some of the best storytelling I've ever heard. It really shows that a lot of making a magazine is so fly by night. Like you do a cover story. Now really it's Game Informer, and they're luckily on the web too, and they describe the process of making their magazine. But like if you think about it, every month you're pumping all that info out.
Yeah.
that's a ton of work, and then like also putting it all together in deadlines and pulling all nighters, and just like Dreamcast magazine was a little different because they would actually rate their games, even though it was official Sega Dreamcast. They had to get approval to say, listen, if a game bites, we're not going to give it a great score.
Yeah.
And one of them that they didn't give a great score that I do not agree with was like Seaman. They gave it like a 6 or a 4.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
really?
kind of a big.
And it's funny because it was so different. And yeah, it's a little janky, but even playing it now, I love playing it like
That's
different.
actually one
It
of
probably holds up pretty
That's a
decent,
really
actually, right
memorable
now.
game, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one that,
Yeah.
looking back on it, was
You could at
way
least
ahead of
hook
its
it up with a
time.
7.5
Yeah,
or something.
but what was neat was they talked about that and like how they kind of got a little. He's like, no, we're going to run it, and the magazine was a little bigger, so they had to make the decision of like when they're doing the size of like it's basically the size of a laptop. It's like the Dreamcast magazine is a good 3 inches by 4 inches larger than a regular magazine. You know, they were talking about that and what kind of paper they would use and how sometimes it would get more expensive than others. But anyway, it's neat to look back on that. There's also PlayStation Underground. Do you guys remember that?
PlayStation Underground. I never got that. That was
Xbox magazine. I did a deal a while back where I bought a boxed N64 and some games from a guy. And it was one of these like roll into a parking lot, buy it out of the back of a trunk, hopefully he's not going to kill you kind of things.
Uh-huh.
And but he throws this trunk open and there's the N64 and he's like, "Hey dude, do you collect Xbox stuff?" And I said, "Well, not really, but I know a guy that does. What do you got?" And he says, "Well, I've got all of the Xbox magazine demo disc," and he has like this giant pile of these Xbox demo discs. So I got him and I gave him all to Shane. He just gave them to me. He's just like, I just don't want these anymore. And
That's awesome.
yeah, but they're really cool, and
They're
they're awesome because they all have a big synopsis of everything that was really cool in July of 1997.
cover art. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I always look at the top. I don't know why this one's on the top of the pile of those. Is Tom Clancy one, which I'd never play that game, but it's always on. I always look at that one in the big pile that you
Yeah,
gave
man.
me.
If you ever want to know what was
It's cool.
going on at any given point in time, like what was everybody was hyped up about, or like the future,
Yeah.
they pick up one of those demo discs and be like, man, what was everybody looking at November of '98?
And they're pretty inexpensive to get. You can get them lots. Actually, it's funny as you guys got that on accident. I got a lot of original Xbox, the magazine, like demo discs, because I never had any of them, and I love the Dreamcast ones. And what's funny is on one of them, there is a Halo tournament, the first Halo tournament, and this feels like not long ago because it was on a DVD or a game, basically DVD, and of course it's a 4:3 ratio, and Will Wheaton is the host of this, and it is I really like this is worth watching, and it just felt like it was like probably a good hour long, and they got people from all over the country. To put them against the first ever, like it had to be land local.
Yeah, land local.
Halo gunbutt.
Gunbutt?
No one there had to ask the question.
Him with that
But
gunbutt.
what was cool was, even the commentary. Now, if you watch like video game championships, there's a lot of like quick commentary, kind of like sports commentary. They know what they're talking about. This one was kind of the first time they ever did that. And there was one guy who was owning everything. And it was really cool to watch. Like this guy they're just doing a bracket tournament where there's like 16, then 8, then 4, then 2. And the guy that won, actually, he had a unique name. So I actually looked him up on Facebook. And it was the same dude. I almost messaged him to be like, hey, you're the guy that won this thing 15 years ago. I think he ended up winning, an entire Xbox set.
He's probably
and
got one of those cool
five-
orange Xboxes.
Well,
or
it's like
something that,
$5,000. But anyway, it was on a demo disc, and it was a whole like hour long like tournament. It just it seemed so dated, super dated.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's if you ever want to know what was cool at any given time, go grab a demo disc. But those video game magazines were awesome. And then I don't know if you guys remember this, but they had like Game Pro TV. Do you remember that?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I
What was
don't.
it? What was the name of that channel? Was it actually?
No, it was on like Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, no, I don't remember
Like
that.
it was only on for like a year or two. But they have them on YouTube, but if you get on YouTube and just look up old Game Pro TV, those are great. And the cool thing about that was, my friend had a Genesis. My best friend had a Genesis. I had a Super Nintendo, and we would fight daily about which was better. And I was always right. But that show, like for some reason on the television show, I think Nintendo was very restrictive, and I think Sega might have even been at that point in time on what they wanted shown versus not shown.
Yeah.
well, Nintendo was that.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Well,
surprise
exactly.
you.
That hasn't really
Sounds
changed
about
much. but they actually showed a lot of TurboGrafx games
really?
on that show, and I always remember seeing the TurboGrafx games and thinking, man, that is so weird. There's like this whole other system that, none of my friends own. I don't own. I remember seeing it in the
Can't
Sears
see it,
catalog, and that sort of thing. And actually, I remember every Christmas or whatever, they're coming out with the Christmas catalogs. I remember just flipping to the video game section and just like drooling all over those pages, because you wanted all those so bad. But I remember like just being awestruck by like, oh, there's this thing that's kind of really cool looking that I've never really experienced before. And they would always show them on those episodes, and it wasn't until I was like 30 years old, that I actually got to where I got my hands on a TurboGrafx and actually, experienced it, those games that I saw back when I was a little kid and always wanted to do.
Well, heck, do you guys remember the Pizza Hut? They give out demo disc. If you ordered a stuffed crust pizza, they give out demo disc.
No.
Yeah, so they had like Tony Hawk is right before Tony Hawk
those
was coming
are
out.
pretty collectible too.
Are they?
I think. I think it's Pizza.
At least people wanted
there's
that.
God, I'm blanking now. There's a couple of games, and I want to say that they is one of them a Dreamcast game or an Xbox game. No, it's Xbox. There's like a Burger King Xbox game.
Oh, that's the Burger King. So you got that. Big
I've got all
Poppin'.
three of those.
Yeah,
That wasn't
Yeah.
too long ago. The 360 came out, and they play on both, even though they say 360. They play on both. So Burger King came out with they were $3.99 if you bought a value meal.
Yeah, if you bought a value meal.
And you
it's like King's Kart Racing.
you can
and,
still right now on eBay get them
those for
free
like-
shipping, $2.50.
Dude, they're sort of
sealed.
fun. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, so there's three of them. There's Big Bumpin'.
Big bumping.
Big Bumpin'. We played that. We played that in Portland. We did play that in
Probably
Portland.
get our gamers card pulled by that one.
Burger King found out about McKids.
Yeah.
They're
So-
like, we got to get on top
we
of
need
this. So
some of
they
this
waited.
action.
They waited 3 generations, and then boom.
Yep, and like Pocket Bike Racer, which is like a really bad kind of kart racer, and then there's sneaking, where you sneak around. It basically wanted to be like what's the big stealth game of the time? I mean, like anything, like there's Metal Gear Solid and whatever else. Like Hitman and no, it was like Hitman or what's the dude with the goggles? Not Siphon Filter.
Splinter Cell.
Splinter
Splinter
Cell.
Cell.
Yeah, it was
Splinter
kind of
Cell.
like that kind of thing where you're hiding it and then you have to jump out
scare
a
'em.
certain time, and you have like flourishes and stuff of showing like because the commercials used to have him like showing the burger or something like.
Yep.
Those Burger King commercials are flipping weird, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
They're creepy, man.
yeah, the
Those are
lady like
creepy.
waking up and like the King's laying next to her in bed or whatever.
Yeah, that was back.
I bet the King got some charges, man, because
Yeah,
there's some creepy
yeah,
stuff. he
Yeah,
was
the
doing.
king is not allowed within 500 feet of any school. I don't know.
absolutely.
It's crazy though.
I don't know if anybody knows that. but
That was like
that's
almost
actually
10
true.
years ago. That was 10 years ago. All that
Jeez.
stuff.
Yeah, we're just accelerating toward death.
Oh man, yeah, slowly but surely. Gosh, yeah, we are. But anyway, that's some of it. I did have a PlayStation Underground subscription. I really liked it. That was just something you can find for next to nothing, and those were basically good magazine discs, kind of like the rest of the demos. But
That always came in the little baggie.
Yeah,
Didn't PlayStation Underground?
No,
come in the
actually
bag?
they came
No,
in-
those are the PC disc.
PC
and,
ones,
yeah, always came in
those.
the baggie.
these came in
Yeah.
like a book, so it looked like a game. And I remember they only came out once every 3 months. So as a kid waiting for that thing, I would every day check the mailbox. And when it did, I was like ecstatic. Like now, that's probably now it's like the mail, getting all the packages or some other stuff you get. But that was totally fun, and those were set up pretty good. And you can find those pretty cheap, and that's a good way to kind of look at some of those. Demo discs and not pay much money. People throw those things away.
Cool. All right, so we need to move on a little bit and talk about some of the things that we've been doing with collecting. I go first on this one, I guess.
Sure.
I kind of got a pretty cool deal here just a couple of weeks ago. Shane can be thanked. And actually, if you follow us on Facebook, you might have already seen this. But I got a Terminator 2 pinball.
Yeah.
Which is a Williams pinball. And it's something I have tried to get this thing like several times in the past, and they've always gotten away from me, but I actually got one finally.
Looks
Thing is
great.
And
awesome.
and it's super cool. I really like it, and it's a good pinball. It plays great. And,
Pictures are up on Facebook also if you want to check that out.
and so I've been playing it a lot. My 3-year-old, my scores get a lot better when he's not around. But it's whenever he's down here and I'm playing on it, there's always just random flipper hits.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give him a flipper and I get a flipper.
That's fun for kids.
But yeah, he loves it too. So we kind of play that together, and then I happened to see a Double Dragon 2 complete in the box the other day. And
cool.
picked it up. So
For the NES?
For the NES.
Cool.
And so I got that, and that's pretty cool. I found a copy of Lolo 3.
Ooh.
Which is another NES game.
Tough to find.
Yeah, it's kind of a rare-ish game. Obviously, it's a third. The other Lolo and Lolo 2 are also NES games. And I'm not sure, but Satoru Iwata, the since deceased Nintendo president, he was involved in Lolo. I'm not sure if he was in 3 in particular, but I do believe that I've read that he was one of the programmers on those games. So it's got a little bit of history to it.
Cool.
With those things, and then of course in my quest to complete the Wii U collection, I picked up a few more games. I got the collector's edition of Tokyo Dance Sessions.
Did you realize you just had a Freudian slip? You said collector's addiction instead of addition.
Well, it is
appropriate.
It is a dancing game, so that's appropriate. Probably.
What was it called again? Sorry.
Tokyo Dance Sessions.
Oh, wait, is that an actual dance game?
I mean, I'm not really sure. I haven't played it yet. It's like anime-ish. I mean, it's a really Japanese game.
Is
I wonder
there one
if it's
called
like Prapper Rapper style where you
I honestly don't know much about it. It actually looks kind of cool, but
Isn't there one called Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
that's it. Same deal. That's
Okay.
what I'm talking about. Tokyo Mirage Dance Sessions. I think I shortened the title myself.
Cool.
But got that Rapala bass fishing.
Ooh.
Okay,
which is a highly sought after Wii U game. It's actually, I think, going to be one of the rarer ones.
Boy.
Do they have a fishing controller like the Dreamcast?
You don't need one because it has motion controllers, which are superior in every way.
Yeah, right. That Dreamcast controller is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the best accessories.
It actually
I
is.
love that thing.
I've
It's
actually
so
got that thing
awesome.
in the box. Yeah, the little
that thing's
Dreamcast fishing
cool.
controller. That's cool. I got Monster Hunter 13 Wishes.
Cool.
Which is also a game nobody else wants.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the thing is, they're two. Or I said Monster Hunter, didn't I? I meant to say Monster High. Monster Hunter is a good game. Monster High is not.
gonna say-
Okay, that's what I was about to say. I was like,
No, and there are two Monster High games for the Wii U. There's 13
boy.
Wishes and
Ghoul School.
New Ghoul at School. Yeah,
boy.
And I already had New Ghoul at School, thankfully. But
you 100 that yet?
no, it's still in the wrapper. And but 13 Wishes. Here's the bad thing about it. I saw this for cheap on eBay one night, and I thought it was I didn't realize there was two of them, and so I accidentally ordered the same one twice.
Oh boy!
So I actually have 2 copies of New Ghoul at School if anybody's interested.
Hey, you never know. So how far away are you from the complete set?
I am at 125 games right now of the roughly 150 or so, and some variants and things. But
Nice.
but I'm getting
creeping up
close.
there.
Yeah,
You're
a couple
creeping up
more
there.
months, I'll be there, and then everyone will respect me.
Show the respect.
Yeah,
The
and
Wii U.
and I also got a Kirby Rainbow Curse, which is actually a good
Ooh,
game.
good
And
game.
I
Yeah,
like
good
Kirby
game.
games. They're super cutesy, but they make
They're
me
good, man.
they make me happy.
Yeah.
So which I think is the point of Kirby, which is also an Iwata, brainchild. So Kirby's are always good. I haven't gotten it yet, but I got a couple things off of a couple of Facebook groups here the other day. So I got the Kirby 20 or 25th anniversary collection for Wii U, which you have, I think, Shane, don't you?
No, I don't have it.
Yeah, it's a compilation of Kirby.
Oh,
games
on the
like
Wii? On the Wii. Okay. Yeah.
And so I got it, and then I also got a Coltron 6-in-1,
Whoa.
which is
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't collect for the NES pretty heavily probably doesn't know what that is, but it's like a really, really rare NES game. It's like a top 10 rare kind of game. So
Unlicensed, right?
yeah, it's an unlicensed game from some weird company in Korea or something, and so it's one of those off-color weird cartridges that has a little switch on the back, and it's like an off-color white kind of thing.
Weird looking. Yeah.
And there's actually 2 different versions of that. Not to go into too much detail, but
That one does not have the Nintendo seal of quality.
yeah, and
is minus
not that
the
mattered
zero
much back in the, but it's kind of neat. It's got 6 different games on it, and it's a strange little thing. But when it comes, it'll be my
Pride and
my
joy.
rarest in NES things. That'd be kind of cool just to have it, I suppose. I'll play it a little bit. I imagine it's got a Space Harrier clone on it and some other stuff that'll end up being kind of fun. But those are my excursions.
What have you been collecting, Ben?
Let's see. So I didn't get that much. So we all had the PSVR. If those who don't know, we talked about it at length in other episodes. I picked up Battlezone and Eve Valkyrie.
Eve Valkyrie,
Eve
yeah.
Valkyrie. So I haven't played them yet, but I got them both basically like half off. There was a
Nice.
sale going on. So, they were premium games, $60 games. There's not a ton of physical games out there, but I got them each for $30 and kind of a deal. So I don't think they'll get much
Battlezone
lower
looks
than that.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally stoked to play it. I was actually going to play it, and then what happened was Adam and I were able to play VR in different homes.
Oh,
Yeah, so you was like, hey, there's a game called, what is it, VR Bar?
Sports bar,
sports bar.
room.
All right,
Bar
so
room, yeah.
Sports Bar, it's currently, I think, like $8 on PSN. It allows you to basically be inside a sports bar that has a bunch of different, like, skee ball, pool, and
Awkward, non-playable characters.
yeah, and then little sprite guys that just talk and you can't interact with. The game, honestly, is kind of janky, but that's what makes it kind of cool. Like the pool is the most awkward thing to play. Like you play the pool and it like locks on you.
You can't even
Do you use the move
describe it.
controller?
Yeah, you use
Yeah.
the move controllers,
Yeah,
but here's the
both of
thing:
them.
the game actually is not produced all that well because it doesn't explain, like, you can't pick something up if one move controller's in the menu. It's one of those, like, you literally have to kind of finagle with the controller for like 20-30 minutes to figure out how the world works.
Yeah.
But what's cool is you can throw things at each other. So like the first thing we did was like Adam picked up a pool stick and put it, like, because you don't like obviously see the other player, but you see their headset and how they're moving, and if he was wearing a hat,
It's like they're almost
yeah,
there,
and then
yeah.
like when he talks, you can see his. So it felt. I mean, it didn't quite feel like he was in the room with me, but it was definitely fun to like mess around the world.
It's like being in the room with a ghost of someone you know.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and you can kind of mess with people and like get in their face. So he held a cue stick up to my eyeball, and it looks like he's doing it, and then you can spawn a beer bottle. So when he was skee balling, I would just spawn beer bottles all over the skee ball, and like they break automatically.
That's what I've heard.
and-
People just do random stuff, and like
Yeah.
when you're
So
playing
that's-
pool, you set up
And
a
there's
bunch
like
of beer
balloon
bottles and
animals
hit
in
them
there,
and
and you
stuff.
can throw those around.
Yeah. We ended up. So the best part of it probably was we ended up besides just like looking at the characters that weren't doing anything, getting real close. I told Adam, like, one of the coolest things is they have these characters that if you haven't played VR, when you're really close to somebody, it feels like they're right there. And so these are like basic robot hollow children that are just talking.
Yeah, it's sort of buggy in as much as you can actually warp yourself into the inside of another character.
Really?
Yeah, and then it's all glitchy and stuff.
Yeah,
and
you can like
it's
see their
really
eyeballs.
weird. Yeah.
But when you get real close to them, like as close as I am to the mic, like 2 inches away, like I would never be that close to a human's face unless it was my wife, I guess. And you're just like looking at them, and you can like look all around, and at any moment they can like blah get you. But they don't. But one of the best parts anyway of that was they have air hockey. And that was a ton of
yeah,
fun.
air hockey's actually really good in it.
Yeah, it felt like real air hockey, like the physics for as you're hitting it. Obviously, you don't get the feedback of hitting it, but when we finally got it to work, outside of like sometimes when the puck, right? The puck hits your hitter. What is it called? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway,
pad.
The
Yeah.
paddle.
obviously,
Paddle,
the part
Yeah.
that you hit the puck with. Sometimes it would kind of jump out of the way, but for the most part, it felt like we were playing a real game. Like it kind of felt like 90% of what a real game feels like, which is funny. It came out of that game, but it's about the most realistic thing out of that. So those are the main things I played. I did quickly. I could talk about going. I went to a Family Video, which is a physical video store.
Family videos are hilarious.
Yeah, I was in Harrisonville, Missouri. I had an appointment with someone, and they had to delay it like 15 minutes. So it's like, what am I going to do 15 minutes here? So I looked on my Google Maps, and I'm too far away from anything interesting, and it said Family Video. I was like, I drove by this, but I don't go in because I have no reason to technically.
Yeah.
And
You're not
it
gonna
looks
rent a
like a
movie.
Blockbuster. I mean,
Yeah, they're
and
just like
evidently
Blockbuster.
they're around a lot of different places. And, it's funny, their games are all sun faded, unfortunately.
Don't put
And
them
there was
near the
nothing there's nothing I really. It obviously was only like PS3, PS4, that kind of thing. But it was kind of neat. The store lady, I don't even know, she didn't even say, but it was set up just like a Blockbuster. brought you back to those
Was
days.
it like a time
of-
warp going in there?
Yeah.
I don't know how that place is staying in business when every other place went out of business. It's
Yeah.
like them. It's weird
I
to me.
think what they do is they do their research of where to do it. Like there's none in Greater Kansas City where we're
I guess
at.
that makes sense. They're always in rural towns that
Yeah,
don't
and-
have the interwebs.
Yeah, and rural towns like here, I bet you 1 in 10 houses have a Roku and download their stuff.
Yeah.
Other places they don't do that stuff. I mean, they're used to tangible things, and they're going to stay that way. And I heard they're kind of doing okay.
That's right. And those are the people that are going to survive the war.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't have to deal with the VHS. I think were more expensive to produce.
Yeah.
So you deal with
Yeah, I mean, none of it's
Yeah,
as
with
cool
all
as
those.
Laserdisc, but
yeah, renting a laser disc
that's right. Where's your Laserdisc section, man?
in your clown pants.
Now, Laserdisc are cool and almost as cool as the people who collect them.
Yeah,
You tell yourself that.
yeah, the laser disc collector.
No, Laserdisc collections are they're all the rage.
Yeah.
Everybody should have one.
Yeah, but what about you, Shane?
Well, for me, this month has been pretty good for me. I'm not gonna lie. The past few times I talked about collecting, I was pretty bare, but
Oh yeah, you have some good stories.
yeah, I got I got some really good stuff this week. Oh man.
Yeah,
So
go
I
ahead.
got Bonk's Adventure on the NES. I picked up. They wanted $3.99 for it, which is a pretty good price, but it had a sticker on the front of it, so I think that's why a lot of people avoided it. So they had it on sale because nobody picked it up. It's been in there for about a month at Vintage Stock.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting it for $3.10, but I had a 25% off coupon, so I ended up getting it kicked down to $2.60.
Ooh.
I took it home, peeled off the label. So it's clean as could be. It's super nice. So
Wow.
$2.60 for I think it's around about a $500 game.
Yeah,
let's say.
thereabouts, yeah.
About $500 game. So good deal.
Yeah, it's one of the Mount Kilimanjaros of the NES collection.
It's up
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
So, and I drove quite a bit and picked up my Wii U kiosk
Yeah.
also. So I was able to pick that up, which it is freaking awesome and 100% complete and
Yeah.
awesome. But while I was on my way going up there, I was checking on Craigslist, and I was able to pick up a PS1 kiosk, a tabletop kiosk. It doesn't have the stand, but it's still really cool. It has a sign and everything. I picked it up from a guy named Matt. He said he was going to listen to our podcast, so thank you, Matt, for the good deal on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for giving Shane the PlayStation kiosk that I'll kill him and steal.
But I also picked up a Sega CD, a bunch of Sega in-box games for dirt cheap. I mean, just like $1 a piece or something. I picked up a bunch of those. A bunch of sports games, but I got a bunch of them, and they're really cool and in decent shape. That's pretty
Cool.
much about it. Yeah.
Cool, and that Wii U kiosk, it is pretty impressive. I haven't seen it, but I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to put some pictures up on Facebook so everybody can
Yeah.
check it out. I mean, the thing is super clean, super complete. So
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And the couple bodies that you had to
Yeah.
destroy and murder
yeah, murder to get it.
to get that thing.
I almost broke my back, but that thing is like 500 pounds getting
you-
it down the stairs. Me and a buddy helped me. Oh,
Kiosks
man.
are heavy. Those things
Yeah.
are built to
Yeah.
meant to take a beating because obviously a kid they've got to factor in a 5-6-year-old's going to hang on the side of it or
Yeah.
whatever. So if you ever get a kiosk, most of the time those things are built pretty good. It's just a matter of how
Yeah, and
the outside is.
one
Yeah.
thing that most people don't realize is the systems that are in them are not the retail systems that you bought.
Yeah, so I can't
They're-
play
yeah,
regular
they're
games on it.
different.
Yeah, and I actually have
They
that
have-
system. So that's
Like
really
for instance,
cool.
the Dreamcast kiosk, the system that's in it has bigger fans on it.
Yep.
It's got it's just built heavier. It doesn't have the modem in it.
Yeah.
It's just it's a different device than the one that you bought at the store in some ways.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's really cool, and I'm super jealous of you. And because I've been trying to get one, and nobody will sell me one because they all suck.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. Trust me.
Someday I'll get my hands on one.
You will
but-
because
trust me,
these
it'll
people,
happen.
these people that are getting them now that a few people are getting into them, they're probably not paying much for them. They're going to want some moolah, you know. Just like
yeah,
anything.
but it looks so good next to the Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
the Wii U set.
You'll
You will-
find one,
dude.
man.
You'll get one
You'll get
eventually
one.
for sure.
I guarantee it.
Yep.
At any rate, we'll move on to some emails now, and the first one is from Cameron in SD, which I'm not sure if that means San Diego or South Dakota.
Oh, well, thank you, Cameron from San
thank
Diego,
you.
South Dakota.
Yeah,
It's one
I mean it's basically the same thing.
They are the same thing. Exactly the same. Yeah, because in San Diego, they've got the Chargers and they've got 4 stone presidents, right?
Yeah.
Out in the ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
surfing.
Yeah, and the other place, they've got gold mine / beaches, right?
Yeah,
They're both about the same to vacation, too, as well.
similar demographics. Yeah,
San
yeah,
Diego
exactly.
or South Dakota is actually a fun place. Have you ever done the road trip there?
No.
Yeah, I've been through it a little bit. Yeah.
It's actually a really inexpensive road trip. It's a lot of fun. I like going up there.
Check that out.
Anyway, what did he say?
So, at any rate, he says, "Yo, gents, stumbled across your podcast the other day and have since engorged myself with your collective retro zeitgeist. A
Zeitgeist,
good
wait.
name for a band, by the way.
Zeitgeist. So he might be the one that did the.
He might be
Oh,
the
yeah,
one that
that's
did the
him then.
review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ah,
Zeitgeist is German for ghost, right?
I believe so. I should know that. I was
Maybe
born
maybe
and
your
brought
mom
up-
will tell us.
Yeah, Mom.
Mother.
So for all the people that don't know, every time we don't know something, we invoke my mother, who's a librarian, and she literally will look this up and
Yeah.
then send us an email to explain what it means. So, Mom, look up zeitgeist.
Yeah.
and get back with
If
us.
Get on
How
it.
about-
Chop chop.
And give me some chocolate milk.
And some meatloaf.
Thanks, Mom. Love you, Mom. So he says, my wife and I currently have a 9-month-old and are increasingly discussing having me become a stay-at-home dad. My question is mostly for Shane, but I would appreciate the rest of y'all's, maybe it is South Dakota, input on personal touch points. How did you decide or become to be a stay-at-home dad? What has been the hardest part on your personality? And lastly, has it messed with your personal identity or feeling of self-worth, either due to your own emotional development or external factors / opinions? And then we'll kind of stop it there. So Shane, why don't you take it?
Okay, so to start with, I mean, if you have I'm just going to say in general, if you have a chance to stay at home, do it. I mean, it's very circumstantial. The kid, I mean,
Rewarding, right?
Very rewarding to see your kids grow up and not have to worry about taking them to a person that you can't or you could trust, but you just don't know. But with what did he say? What was the first question you asked on that? Sorry, I don't have. I'm pulling up the email right now.
It's fine. It was how did you decide to become a stay-at-home dad?
Well, first off, it's so expensive. I mean, basically with the job I had, I wasn't
daycare?
Yeah, for daycare, it was so expensive. It was basically I was going to be bringing home like $100 extra a month, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Wasn't
what's the
worth
point?
it.
It wasn't worth it at all. So, I mean, if it works out pretty much the same way as you, I mean, if you're only going to make a little bit extra, I would suggest staying at home with your child, definitely.
Yeah, if you yeah, exactly. It's like it's how much a year for daycare, honestly, like per kid.
I
Yeah,
can't
like a
remember now
bazillion.
because it seems like ages
it's a
ago.
lot.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
just where we're at, the one we picked was a good price for like $600 a month. Does that sound
Yeah,
right? Something like that.
Something like that.
I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
not for sure. It's been so long that we even looked into it. And then what was his other question?
Yeah, it's bananas. And then the hardest part on your personality.
On the personality, it is hard because you're at home all day with the kids and you don't have a sort of a release, and so you just have to sort of figure out how to figure out a release. I mean, to have a game night with your buddies or something, but you also have to be sort of cautious because, I mean, your wife is also at work all day, so you have to sort of, cater to her also, and, get a night out with the wife or something like that also. So, I mean, it's sort of a hard deal. I mean,
Yeah, it's just having. I think sometimes you'll text me or something with the kids, and you're like, "Dude, I changed like 80 diapers today," or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Kind of depends on the age of them too, and you. I think you're getting closer to now, right? One of them's out of diaper. Obviously.
yeah, one's out of diapers.
and the other
yeah.
one's how far away out of diapers?
Pretty close. He's probably about another.
And
he's
boys
in
are harder,
fives.
they say.
He's in 5s right now, so probably another 5 or 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
Hopefully, but boys are harder, so maybe a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, so they're all mobile. Well, not the littlest one's not mobile yet, but soon
Yeah.
they'll all be mobile. So that
His middle one is way mobile. We went
Yeah.
to the kids' play place the other day, and
He was trying to leave.
I mean, my kid gets pretty, rambunctious and hard to keep control of and stuff. And we're in this place, and it's like full of jungle gym and, slides and like all this cool stuff. Like that you think a little kid would just be like, I want to do that,
Yeah.
His kid only wanted to play with the front door and the stuff in the parking lot and the vending machines and everything else. So yeah, one of us kind of had to watch the other kids,
Yeah.
and then we all had to keep an eye out for Shane's kid bolting for the
Door.
for the
Yeah.
door.
Jeez.
The whole time that we were there.
Yeah.
And he totally would have gone right out in the road, if
Yeah.
if you don't keep your eye on him. So yeah, he's got a motor on him, that kid.
Oh, and also another thing. So if it's really close, like on the money wise, I mean, there's ways you could also save money. Is like during the week, sort of a tip for you is that to sort of make up for the money is like during the week, I don't go out and eat out at McDonald's or anything like that, or I try to make it up that way, or I don't spend. I'm really thrifty on the video games, so that's sort of my release. But I try to, with the money, I tone it down, so that helps out.
You take
too.
them out to the car. It seems like
Yeah,
like
we
if
go
you
to
ever-
the park or something like
yeah,
that.
if you have some good. Taking them out of the house sometimes is what calms them down, or the car ride will make them go
do
to
some
sleep,
car rides
right?
and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but for the most part, you'd recommend it.
I would recommend it completely.
For
I
the
mean, if you
fact
can
that-
make it work,
yeah.
I mean, definitely do it. I mean,
Yeah, it's good for the kids too. They're like, you want them to socialize and that kind of thing, but also hearing like, oh, you bit this other kid or this other kid bit
Bit
you
you,
and stuff.
yeah.
You're not gonna hear as much of. Well, I mean, eventually when we get out of that. How old? So how old till they? Right? Is it just 6? Right? Kindergarten? I don't
yeah, I
know.
think around 6 is kindergarten. So I think we're
5,
going to start here in about a few years. I'm going to go back to work, and probably about a year and a half or something. Probably try to get back to work, and also, I mean, I do some part-time work and stuff like that. So I mean,
Yeah,
you
you
could
do.
also bring in money for the family. Try to find some part-time work or
the
anything
Uber
like that.
and the what's the other?
Yeah, I
one?
do Uber, or I put an ad on Craigslist cleaning gutters or stuff like that.
You are a
I
good
help-
gutter cleaner.
Yeah, I'm gutter cleaner. I cleaned out Ben's gutters, or I help random people do stuff. So just
Yep.
try to do it that way.
I can't
mean,
get up there. Even holding the ladder for you, I just think to myself, like, how do I explain this to your wife if you fall off my roof? Like, I have all this, even though you obviously done it 100 times, like, even watching you up there,
Yeah.
my loins hurt. Like, I
Yeah.
start getting this weird tightness in between, in my coin purse.
Yeah, TMI, dude.
Hey, dude, you ever seen Shane on your roof?
No,
Your
I
coin
can't-
purse is going to
I
get
can't.
tight, too.
can't say that I have.
I just, like, there's 3
But
kids.
I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
have
kind
to
of cool though, and
use
in some
Godparent.
ways, I mean, I'm a little bit jealous because I'm honestly, I miss a lot. I miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have to be at work all the time.
Yeah.
And I do work a lot. I'm at work a lot.
Yeah,
And I
you're
work-
kind of one of those guys.
and I work a lot of weekends,
Yep.
and sometimes I work weird hours of the night, and so it's you have to do it because somebody has to pay the electricity, and everybody needs food
Yeah,
in their bellies
absolutely,
and
you
all
do
those
that.
kinds
That's
of
what
things.
you have
But
to do.
but I mean, it's kind of neat that you get to be at home and see all the little things that you get to see.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's I don't know, an enviable thing in some respects. I mean, it would be hard. I think
It's not an
and-
easy deal.
yeah,
So if you
and-
end up doing it, I mean, it's not going to be an easy deal because I mean, there's also other aspects to going on with it too. I mean, you also have to do the laundry, the dishes, and stuff. I mean, at least I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I think I should be. That's part of the job. Is
Sure.
You have to do the laundry and the
Yep.
dishes and maintain the house.
I'll
and,
do dish. Man, good for you.
help with the
Laundry.
bills.
Yeah,
stuff,
and
you know,
if you are in a relationship where you're married or have someone else that you have a child with, and they're one's staying at home and one's working and stuff, be appreciative of the person who stays at home because it is not easy. Like even on the weekends or if I'm at home and taking care of the
Yeah.
my child for a couple of days in a row or whatever, it's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, and they their little psyche's not developed, and they don't know. They don't
never
get that.
is,
They don't
yeah.
get the social cues that like normal grown-ups and things do,
Yeah.
and they don't behave in rational ways, and
Yeah.
and it's hard. I mean, it really is hard on you because you love this little person,
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily show that back all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
And then I stay up with the kids and stuff like that too. I mean, that's just things that you suspect that you're gonna have to do, But I mean, it's totally worth it. I mean, if you can make it work, man, definitely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to have those as your coworkers, right? As
Oh,
opposed to
absolutely.
sometimes
Yeah.
other-
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The
Absolutely.
drama that you're in charge of, at least,
Yeah.
kind of, sort of. Any other emails?
Yeah. So I'll move on to the next one. So this is from Colin. I don't know where he's from, but he
Another
says,
Colin? There's 2 Collins.
No. This is well, he gave us a suggestion for a video game.
yeah,
Now we're
thank
going
you.
back to the rest of his
Yeah, I
email.
was
gonna say.
So yeah, same fella. He says, dear VGDs, thank you for providing such an entertaining podcast. I would have written sooner, but wanted to get caught up on your podcast first, episode 0 to 6, and now 7th at this point. I will admit first off that I was excited when I found your podcast because I was like, hey, I can relate to these guys. I was equally disappointed when you revealed your ages and I realized I was about 20 years older than you guys. I think honestly at this point, though, we're all just kind of oldish.
We're just oldish.
Yeah,
We're
after
good,
you're
man.
a dude and you're 30, nobody.
How about that? He thought we were in our 50s. Till
Yeah,
we revealed our
exactly.
age.
Yeah,
It's,
That's
yeah,
the older
yeah.
We're old. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
so I think we could take that as a slight, perhaps, but yeah, it's once you're 30, everybody's like, "Why are you still talking? Just do some work or something."
Yeah.
But he said, felt like I should be looking for a Video Game Dad's podcast, Senior Citizens Edition. I was glad I was able to overcome such a useless and petty insignificance because your show is pretty gosh darn entertaining. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
thank
Thanks.
So he says, unlike us, who were starting to play video games in our single-digit, early double-digit years, he didn't start until he was about in college. And because they weren't around as much during his youth and so forth. And he chose them because they were easier to keep track of and more economical than trying to collect all the comic books and all that sort of thing at the time.
Cool.
And then he kind of, goes through and gives us some suggestions about, things he'd like to hear and so forth. And we don't need to go through all those, but we do like the shout out and that sort of thing. And we took our topip for this show from his email. So we really
we
do
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of feedback. Any others? Is that it for this week?
Nope, got one more.
Okay.
So this is for me, and he says, "Hey guys, still loving the podcast. Keep it up. Thanks for Ben for the tips on custom cases. Ian and Ben had exchanged some emails about Ben's custom case.
I remember now. Yeah, thanks, Ian.
Project and." He says, if you guys are still going on the Genesis, a game he played as a kid was Harrier, a shoot 'em up. I didn't mention this earlier, but we're going to add that to the list. And he also says, I've got a quick question. He's been doing the whole Craigslist and garage sale, flea market, all that type of thing, hunt for retro games, and finding it extremely hard to get good enough deals to try to make any money flipping them or just being economical about it in general. And he basically says he thinks it's because there's a lot of people like us,
Yeah, that's
people like us,
that's
and
100% the
him,
truth.
just a lot of people. And it's just like anything else, it's always supply and demand, and they're not making more of these old games.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually been as active as probably as long as Shane or Benjamin, but even in the time that I've really been serious about doing this, I've noticed a big change just in prices and even when I go to, and I don't even do the flea market stuff that much. I go a few times a year, but even when I'm there, like the same guys who I know are the people they're picking up the games, I usually see
Yeah,
them.
the big change. What do you think was around 2010?
Yeah,
2011?
thereabouts. Yeah,
And it's gotten peaks. It's already been peaked, I guess, a year or two. And every collection has its ebb and flow. So hang in there because it's going to get to the point where these people sell off their entire collections. Because of this point in our lives of, I noticed this. I think I said this before in our last episode. I noticed the guys who were kind of a generation ahead, 10 years ahead of me. They were buying their things that I liked from their generation, and they were paying double or triple for because they have double or triple the income.
Yeah.
So everybody in this certain age, now that the collectors are going to get in their 40s, their kids are not going to play it as much. They might sell it for a college fund, this kind of thing. They have more expendable money now than they will maybe later, or they'll just get to that point where they're like, hey, I can't take it with me.
Yeah.
So you're going to see the prices going down again, and then it's going to be mainly the people who have the nostalgia, like a lot of the people who collect records, still young people and hipsters and stuff, but a lot of the people who collect records are an older demographic.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would say too is focus on, I guess it depends on which systems you like, but there are certain systems, even if you like different manufacturers, Nintendo versus Sega versus whatever, focus on the systems that have good games, that are plentiful, and that are cheap. So right now, the best things to collect from a money perspective, what you're going to get for what you pay for, PS2, Xbox One, not Xbox One, I keep saying that, the original Xbox.
OG Xbox.
The OG Xbox is a great system to collect for right now.
Yes, due to it being cheap,
Due to it being cheap. I actually think the Wii is a very good system to
Yeah.
collect for right now. There are a lot of good Wii games, and you can get a lot of good Wii games for nothing.
Yeah, even in
right now.
GameStop,
There's 89-cent games that we
Yeah.
GameStop.
50 bucks, you can walk out with like 15 games.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
And some of the systems that were really cheap, like PS1, have crept up quite a bit, just in the last few years.
Yeah.
But those are kind of the systems that I would suggest. PS3 still, I think, is going down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a good system to collect for. Xbox 360 is a great system to collect for.
Yeah.
So
PS3 now too, I think, because the games are the rare ones are already drying up. I can tell because I'm in a collectors group on Facebook because I actually like that system a lot because it plays well on the current system, the widescreen.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one that, and there's a ton of games out there, and it's been out 12 years. They're still making games for it. But that's when I've noticed also those older games that came out in the first couple years of it are now 10, 12 years old. They're breaking, they're dirty, they're harder to find the early games.
yeah.
I'd
And-
say
go ahead.
my thing is just keep grinding it out. I mean, look at me. I mean, like I just had a good month this month, but 2 months ago, I mean, I couldn't find a single thing.
Yeah, you
just keep plugging away.
Yeah, you were
It
saying
comes in
that.
spurts.
Exactly.
And the other
Don't
thing,
overpay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. If it's a game that you really want and you want to pay on par for what it is right now, I'd say do it if it's a game that you really want, but don't overstretch yourself if
Yeah.
it's like a Sega Saturn game that you think
Yeah.
that's maybe good.
Don't be
just
putting
wait.
it. Don't put it. You're not going to be your dad, especially if you're dad's. But don't be putting it on your credit cards and stuff.
Yeah.
Unless it's something.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that obviously it's worth $2,000 and you found it for $500 and you literally want to make $1,500 for your family or something.
Yeah,
Then it's worth
absolutely.
doing it. Be smart about it, but don't. Don't stretch things for these, tangible yet
Yeah.
easily not important objects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you'll find it. Man. They'll come around.
The thing that I found, as far as garage sales and that sort of thing, the thing that's worked best for me personally is, at least where we lived, we have community-wide garage sales.
Yeah.
And the community-wide garage sales are just money.
Oh, I need to go to the
and-
one in yours because you tell great stories.
Yeah, I mean, last year I killed
Yeah.
in my neighborhood. I went to one garage sale in particular, and my wife actually found this, but I got an N64 with a whole milk crate full of, I think, 45 or 50 games. We're talking Ocarina, Majora's Mask,
Oh, yeah.
all the first-party Nintendo stuff, everything else for $10.
Oh,
Boy.
Awesome.
And so
Those that don't know, that's
I
one of
bought-
the more expensive ones right now.
Yeah, that's starting to creep up in price.
And I bought, like I said, like 45 games in a system and 4 controllers for $10.
That's awesome.
And I bought 3 Xbox 360s. At last year's garage sale, I didn't pay over $15 for a single one of them.
That's awesome.
So most of them I bought for 5 or 10. So I think I paid 15 for one. I think I paid 5 for one. I think I paid 10 for one. That's with all the hookups on Xbox 360s that work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you can do really well. And the situation with a lot of garage sales, a lot of the time it'll be the outgoing generation, meaning, the generation just before
Yeah.
the ones that are currently out that you'll find at a lot of garage sales because people are just fire selling it all.
But also pick those up to use them as trade bait because
Oh, yeah,
somebody
yeah.
might be
And-
collecting for those.
and that's
so
what I
you
do.
might sacrifice. I mean, if it's cheap, get it because then somebody might
Well, and
want it later on in
I've
trade.
got these 360s, and it's just, people come over to my house and they play games, or I have family over, whatever, and they say, hey, this is really fun, this is really cool, and I can be like, oh, well, here's an Xbox for $5,
Yeah.
and I personally don't sell stuff to make any sort of profit. Anything I typically sell, I'm either selling to another collector to help them with their collection, or I gift it to somebody, or just try to be spread the love a little bit. But
Another tip for collecting that I just thought we haven't said that works really well is when you're going to these garage sales, a lot of people don't know to even put out their video
oh yeah,
games.
yeah, ask,
Always
ask.
ask.
Yeah.
And even if it's not out, you can hit up a garage sale, literally go, hey, I'm looking for, and then say what the video games are. Because a lot of people, when you say video games, they don't associate Game Boy, Game Gear, all these other things. And you
associate
run down
the
the
new
list, say,
system.
hey, do you have any video games like PlayStation, Sega, Nintendo, Atari, TurboGrafx?
Yep.
Say like 10 things because there's a lot of different YouTubers who kind of say or claim that they came up with this, but it's been going on a long time. And you do this with any kind of collectible. You say what you're asking for, and a lot of times there are because I'll talk to buddies.
They'll go back in the house and get it for you.
Yeah, even so that guy Brandon who from New York gave the suggestion for the Game Boy game. He said, "Hey, thanks to you guys, I'm breaking out the old Wii and the old Super Nintendo and playing all the old games on the virtual console because you guys are making me think about it. And he even said himself, his family, you know, his at his mom's house, states away or whatever, he's got his old games in a bucket. But I bet you if they had a garage sale, he hasn't talked about them in 20 years. If you went up to his garage sale and said, we won't do that, we'll go to Mr. Brandon's house, and you said, hey, do you guys have any video games? Oh, yeah, my son does. I mean, they're probably in here.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're worth. That happens a lot. So even if you don't see anything, ask.
Yep.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, we didn't have a whole lot of money, and like my biggest regrets are always at garage sales where, like when I wanted my NES, I had my Atari, and so guess what I did to get my NES? I sold my Atari, my original Atari, and then when I went into Super Nintendo,
Traded your NES.
yeah, I traded in.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, so it's, you know, and I really wish I had those things back or would have just waited or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And the guy's 60 years old now. You'd be surprised they have it because these 6-year-olds are our parents' age. And our parents sometimes have them if they're not having played
which,
this
speaking
game.
of, depending on how old you are, how old school you want to collect, I collect Atari, and Atari stuff's really cheap, and and it's actually pretty fun to collect. So.
I stay away from Atari. I'm not a big fan.
Bloop, bloop. Yeah, man. You know,
half of it's broken.
849 bytes of RAM just isn't quite enough for you.
Yeah, just not enough.
Oh, man.
All right.
That kind of do it for our emails?
Yeah, I think so. So I think that, you know, that'll pretty much wrap us up for this episode.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I always we really appreciate the emails, the feedback, anything like that, letting us know what you like about the episode, what you think we can improve on, or other suggestions. We always appreciate that. And tell your friends about us too, and we appreciate the iTunes reviews as well.
Yeah.
And what's our Facebook, Adam? Or I'm sorry, Shane?
Facebook.com/videogamedads.
And our email.
It is videogamedads@yahoo.com.
And you can find us on Twitter at videogamedads. So this brings an end to episode 7. We'll try to have another episode two weeks from now, and yet to pick our topic, but we're going to try to have a main topic and then go through our things we're collecting, things like that. And our video game book club, don't forget, is Mick Kids, MC Kids, whatever you like to call it, for the original NES. So thanks, guys. Thanks, listeners. Thanks, everybody who is listening to the Video Game Dads. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. If you enjoyed that music, please check out Evan King on Bandcamp for further details, and you can download some for yourself. Thank you.
Bye-bye.